Hello everybody, welcome back to Zero Tolerance TV, ZT here. We're getting on with this here series. This is, what, match 4? Yeah, match 4, Group A. I can't actually remember who's in this group, so... right, okay, so this is Zeus versus kOs. Should be a PvT. And yeah, I guess if I were to look down at the, matchup percentages there. Also, if I just looked, I do recognize Zeus at this point. It's just that Chad haircut, man. Like, you ever seen a more Chad? Okay, I mean, you have, but that's not the point. That is not the point. It is pretty spiffin'. So we are on. Oh, okay, nice. Sin Gamer going. It's I didn't mean to move my mouse a little bit there and reveal the title real quick so I could look at it, but I did, and it kind of worked out. So this is Zeus, right side there, and here we go. This is kOs, or kOs if you're a weirdo. I have to think it's kOs. Like, I don't know, kOs. Could technically be kOs. And the capitalized O and lowercase k and s means like literally nothing. I've seen plenty of gamer tags that had basically nothing to do with capitalization. But all good. Here we are. Drawn smiley faces again. This is the man, I don't even know what they're talking about. I think this is, they're talking about like rush distance by air versus rush distance by ground. That would be my guess. Although actually that middle ramp isn't actually part of any of these bases. So I don't know what they're talking about, man. You know, big shrug. That's what they drew, so that's what I'm gonna go with. Should so it looks like, yeah, I guess if we go by that, Zeus has shorter rush distance by air. I guess they kind of both do. I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. We do see a gateway before Nexus, so nothing crazy. Oh, just ignore that. It definitely means nothing. It's not my coffee timer. Nope. And you're definitely not about to hear me pour a cup either. No. If you think that's what you hear, you're wrong. We'd call that fake news. Yamal Jam Hiba. I love that they could type. I don't know why Kespa did this. Probably just because they're evil. But eventually, you weren't allowed to say anything to your opponent in game. I guess, I don't know, to stop BM maybe? Really not sure. I can't remember who it was, but there was a foreigner playing in Korea, and they said GLHF at the beginning of the game. And Kespa was not happy about that. How dare you be mannered to your opponent? How dare you? So Probe Scout is denied there. It occurs to me that having my cup right next to my mic's probably not a great idea. But I committed, so that's what it is. So Probe Scout was denied there. And this is a 2-fac, so pretty unfortunate for Zeus not getting to scout that out. 2-fac up one base is pretty scary. No doubt about that. Wondering where this Marine actually pops out. Looks like the right side. If that Marine popped out of the left side, that'd actually be a pretty spicy wall. Although probably not linked tight. Oh no, the Dragoon is mispositioned. Really shouldn't have let that SCV in. Gotta have your Dragoon in the right place. Now, I guess it's kind of okay for Zeus in a sense. It doesn't look like he's doing anything too crazy here. Oh, his tech is, yeah, Robo. And based on the positioning, I would think that's going to be for observers, so it's not like he got his DT tech scouted when he really didn't want it to be, but obviously getting the scout off is really quite impactful still, so unfortunate for Zeus. Definitely got to put your Dragoon in the right place on the ramp. Can't be letting rando SCVs get up into your main like that. And actually it is a Citadel rush here, so maybe Zeus, it was all part of his plan. It's like, oh, what? Oh, sure. Okay, so I'm not sure if he scouted. I think he saw the extra gateway, but I don't think he saw the Citadel. So there was a second SCV. While the first SCV was in the main, I think he must have right-clicked on a mineral patch with the second SCV, so it walked through the Dragoon. Kind of just an extension of that first mess up, so pretty painful for Zeus. Can't lie. Now, it's not like this is looking like much of an expansion game. These players are both one-basing pretty hard right now. I'm gonna guess this is a DT drop from Zeus, although kind of odd that I think it's probably a response to getting scouted. So he had his robo scouted, and it's like, okay, well, you're going obs. And then sort of a delayed shuttle DT drop might catch kOs off guard. And actually, I really don't see any detection yet, so might actually do that. Observer headed over to kOs's base, gonna try to check to see how open it is to a drop like that. Yeah, I have to think he'll have some sort of detection by then. Even if it's, well, it's gotta be Comsat or turrets. I mean, they're both kind of annoying to get if you don't think you need them. So we'll have to see. Eventually, a Terran will always get Comsat anyway, so probably will be the direction he goes in. Here we go. The DTs are out in the shuttle now. 2 DTs. Don't see any detection yet. There's no add-on there. Haven't seen an academy. Okay, an eBay is starting, so not going to be completely without detection. Honestly, though, I mean, both players on one base here, even if the DT drop doesn't work, they're going to be really strong defensively, and I think kOs is planning to push, and actually, you know, the eBay just finished, so there's no detection yet. Quickly killed those Marines. Now the DTs get to do their damage. 1 SCV down already, and actually killing the turret before it finishes, and killing another SCV before it's able to finish that turret. DT is now going ham on that tank. This is getting a little bad for kOs. Hasn't lost a ton yet. A couple turrets canceled, and I think now 3 SCVs killed. 4 SCVs killed. Okay, it's getting pretty bad, yeah. Oh no, and a tank dying now? This is definitely a great drop. Detection finally comes through. There must be a turret finish somewhere. I didn't see it, but I saw it shooting, so I think it's... I don't know. It's somewhere. But even still, with the detection now up, that was a pretty great drop. Definitely got enough damage done to justify the DT tech, and it's still going here. Might even get this depot, although with a spider mine that close, I'm thinking it probably won't be able to kill it off. Actually does, and the hot pickup. Very nicely done by Zeus. Is he going to try to mine drag up onto those vultures now? No, it doesn't look like it. Just checking out the main, seeing if there's anything else. And actually, a somewhat vulnerable depot here. Although another mine laid down there, so probably just forcing the mine. Zeus has a couple AFK probes there. Okay, in the academy now. Obviously, kOs will need this if he ever wants to leave his base, unless he's going to turret push the whole way. That or get science vessels. I would say that scans are a lot cheaper than science vessels. Eventually, those are good against Protoss. You know, if they're in Arbiters, science vessels are great. But generally not something you see until pretty late in the game. But yeah, with that DT dead now, it looks like Zeus wants to pressure a little bit. Not exactly open to it, though, is kOs. He's got quite a few siege tanks in his main. I gotta say, if you're going to be taking a base like this, there is no reason to go up that ramp. Unless you think your opponent's hidden a base somewhere. I guess at the bottom right of the minimap, that might be a hidden base. It's possible. I think that's probably a mine. But not exactly sure. Okay, and the vultures have actually slipped out, so they're going to get a scout off on this natural. Oh, there's a probe there that was scouted. And they should be able to see, yeah, they have seen the Nexus now. So he knows what's going on. Still just turtling on one base, though. kOs definitely has to do something at some point. You can't go 2-pack on one base and just never do anything. Okay, he has... Okay, yeah. I hadn't seen it, but the CC's actually almost done. Gonna have to be floated over to the base location, but that's fine. Looks like this barracks is gonna die. Even if the goons don't kill it, it's gonna burn. And they do just finish it off. Third Nexus started for Zeus. So in a solid spot right now, I think. Obviously that drop was pretty great. And really just not much danger from kOs right now. Pretty unlikely that he would choose right after taking his natural as when he should attack, so from Zeus's perspective, he's probably not under too much pressure. He's got a little bit of time to get into whatever it is his plan is for this game. I don't know what the tanks are shooting. Maybe some destructible terrain or something. I didn't see any on this map though. There's no like lurker eggs or anything like that. Not a bad attack here actually. Getting some tanks for pretty cheap, although this is a pretty deep tank line, so Zeus can't stay here for too much longer. Does pull his goons away. Not a great trade, honestly, for Zeus there. 2 tanks for like 5 or 6 goons is a little painful. Although, you know, Terran's plan is a lot more focused around tanks than Protoss' plan is around your goons. That said, they're still pretty expensive, so probably not an amazing trade for him there, but definitely seen worse attacks. I think a lot of Protosses end up losing because they just have a botched attack against the Terran that they really just don't even need to attack at that moment. And I think that was kind of one of those situations, but it wasn't quite as much as a commitment. It's really painful when you see like a 170 supply Protoss go down to 110 and a Terran lose like some vultures and 2 tanks. That is a tragic moment. This game is starting to look like it might get to those supply counts though. I say with 2-fac off one base versus Robo into DT drop. Not always expecting the game to go super long, but it was a pretty passive 2-fac. Maybe that was just standard. I've definitely seen a lot of 2-fac on one base in these games I've been casting. And some pretty annoying harassment here from kOs. Getting a decent amount of damage done, killing some probes. 3 vultures or 4 vultures maybe went down. So really not that many. And some decent economic damage. Definitely a good harass, I'd say. Mains are actually starting to get mined out already. So kOs probably actually needs a 3rd to keep up an economy pretty soon. And I imagine as Terran's taking a 3rd, Zeus is going to want to take a 4th. More vulture harass here. You're laying a couple mines. Oh, wow, that mine drag into the probes, killing so many, and another one kills probes as well. That was actually what did the most damage from that harassment, was just the mine drag into the probes. Pretty unfortunate for Zeus there. More probes going down from these vultures. Pretty shifty defense of these vultures. Can't lie about it. Zeus is taking a ton of damage from them. 4 vultures just killed like maybe 20 probes. You gotta watch for them vultures, man. So this is... How many factories is this? I think kOs is going up to 6 factories right now, so... probably looking to be somewhat aggressive. Zeus is clearing out some mines here, but I don't think he should go too much farther. Yeah, once he starts getting hit by those tanks, he does pull back. And look at all those siege tanks. That has got to be at least a full control group. More vultures trying to get some damage done. That time, pretty well slapped back. Doesn't look like Zeus took any damage from those. I like the gateway walls. I'd also like to see some more cannons. Although, yeah, maybe he's got enough now. One thing Protosses tend to do that just drives me nuts a little bit is leave their ramps open when you could just put one Dragoon there and never have to worry about vulture harass like that. It just leave it open, let the vultures up your ramp, it's fine. Looks like Zeus has that under control now. And vulture picked off there. Starting to clear a few of these mines as well. But no real commitment from Zeus, just poking around. One vulture is going to get mainly a scout, really. Not sure what exactly he'd be looking for, but always nice to take a look at your opponent's base. Some more vultures running into the third. Starting to get kind of inefficient, though. I think, something Flash said, where it can kind of look like a Terran is winning because they're getting all this economic damage done with their vultures. And then they suddenly die because they traded their vultures away and they needed those in the fight. I don't know if we're really at that point yet, but that last attack there was definitely one of those moments where it was just kind of throwing vultures away for no reason. I'm assuming they'd already laid their mines, although I do think they actually laid mines in their harass, so maybe not. But really just kind of pushed back by Zeus without taking any real damage. I think it was like 4 vultures for 1 goon. And at that point, yeah, that's fine for Protoss. Yeah, kOs has been pushing forward pretty slowly here, though. Definitely a very methodical tank push. Lots of turrets being built with this as well. Get that detection, make sure DTs can't run in and just murder your tanks. That is always a sad moment for young Terrans. The DT just gets up to your tank and then you scan it and all the other tanks just kill yours. You think, man, why didn't I just build a missile turret? We're getting to that point where it might be worth something like a science vessel too. Okay, and here is a nice storm drop. Although no storm's actually going off here yet. High Templar trying to get in range of something to storm, but actually not finding anything. So I guess what I said about it being a nice drop was completely untrue. But here we go. Zeus is running in. Zealots. Wow, there's no vultures in front. There's nothing to block these Zealots from running up to the tanks. And tanks against Zealots is a horrible matchup for tanks. Look at this trade so far. Really good for Zeus. Once his Zealots start to run out, I do think he should pull back. And actually, he's pulling back a little bit early. But really a good trade for him. Zealots for tanks is something you want all day long. And, man, can't help but think. Those 4 vultures, if they'd just been standing in front of his tanks doing nothing else, that would have been better off than harassing and getting nothing done. That said, kOs did do a pretty good job of defending against that storm drop. I think he lost literally nothing. And Zeus losing 2 High Templar and a couple Zealots. Definitely a nice trade there for kOs. Looks like Zeus has taken the bottom right main. These vultures are trying to get in, but that 1 goon on the ramp is doing a pretty good job of holding the back, at least for a little while, and more vultures have rallied up. Or, sorry, more dragoons have rallied up. The vultures do get into the main and lay some mines. But a couple cannons here. Oh, definitely going to be enough to hold those vultures back. Shouldn't have to worry too much about them. I think what Zeus should do, or one thing he needs to do, is put some gateways in that other main. It definitely looks like kOs wants to go for some sort of contain with all these siege tanks. And if you can make units from that other main as well as your original main, it's a much better position than all your units having to funnel through one area. Sort of a natural surround. One Dragoon gets picked off, trying to clear out those mines. We've got about one control group, maybe not quite one, maybe like half now. Vultures running in, but man, I don't know. This doesn't look that good. They're kind of just dying for nothing at this point. This mine actually pretty good, so a decent trade, at least for some zealots. Vultures killed, I think, like 1 or 2 probes. Kind of cheeky, getting those zealots to run back over the mines. Just running back and forth, these vultures. But they will eventually be cleaned up. I think they traded for enough to not be too sad about that, but if there's a fight in the next, minute or so, and it looks like kOs needed more of a buffer between his tanks and Zeus's army, I'm gonna say that vulture harass was pretty bad. But if there isn't, or he does have enough vultures, which it looks like he might, he's got a few. Ooh. A little painful there, losing some of those Dragoons for free, just walking them into tank fire. We'll have to see, though. It's going to come down to... Oh, wow, actually, here's a storm drop. Oh, really nice storm there. Killed a few SCVs, at least, bruising the rest of those. And it looks like it was actually a double storm drop. One over at that other base as well, so some pretty decent damage there from Zeus. Both players harassing each other quite a lot in this game. Hate to be a worker in this game. It's not a safe place at all. And here we go with Zeus attack. Nothing here to tank for these poor siege tanks. Immediately jumped on by zealots. This is, again, a really deep tank line, so it's not like Zeus is going to be able to break it, but still a pretty decent trade for him. Mostly zealots for those tanks there. Did lose some Dragoons at the end of the fight. So probably didn't pull back quite soon enough, but did take out some of those siege tanks. And his carrier production has now started. We saw that fleet beacon started a little bit earlier. But, oh wow, okay. So now there's actually tanks in range of this third, so the contain is kind of officially starting. There is still some circulation between the middle of the map and the main, but there's really not much. Oh, Dragoons need to pull back. No, this is not what you want to be doing at all. There's an attack in a different lid that's okay, I guess. But pretty rough there, losing so many Dragoons, really for nothing. Looks like they were trying to, looks like Zeus was trying to clear out some mines. And maybe just got a little bit away from himself here. And this contain is getting pretty deadly. Tank's actually up on the high ground now in between these bases. Might even be in range of the probes. I think these tanks are for sure. And it's starting to look pretty dire for Zeus. Looks like we had another storm drop going on. Not sure. Okay, 7 kills on that Templar. Not bad. But it doesn't really address the main problem, which is that Zeus is starting to lose bases. His mine's basically mined out. Or his main is basically mined out. His mine is mained out. Cheeky DT trying to get something done here about a scan so those vultures can kill it. Probes are evacuating, but getting chased by these vultures. Now here's Zeus down to basically 1 base mining against quite a few, still 3 for kOs. Nexus is actually dead now. Zeus looking like he's in a bit of a bad spot. These vultures even fighting Dragoons now. You know you're having a good time when your vultures just outnumber Dragoons enough to fight them straight up. One thing we didn't really see was gateways in this other main over here, so Zeus actually cannot produce anywhere that is not going to be, away from those tanks. Looks like the carriers are going to try to save this base, but even if they do, it's still a really rough spot for Zeus. Maybe carriers wasn't the best choice here. Usually going for carriers leaves you pretty weak for quite a while, and kOs has basically just been making this one attack for, I don't know, the last 10 minutes. Might have been better off trying to actually storm the tanks instead of the SCVs as well. Actually breaking the army, probably more important. Worker damage is good for sure, but gets better the longer the game goes. And trading, you know, I guess it's the same thing as the vultures. Trading your army for workers feels good, but sometimes you just need that army. And not having the army is pretty painful. Carrier count is getting kind of relevant though. We're up to 3 now. Probably a 4th one popping soon. And 4 is really that number. Then don't see much for anti-air either. These vultures catching some Templar. Storms do go down, killing some of those vultures, but one gets picked off, the other's made into an Archon, which not that useful. Definitely not compared to Templar. And now the Goliaths are popping out. I have to think that's Goliath range that was researching there. The barracks goes down, but not that relevant anymore. kOs probably has all the factories that he really wants at this point. One thing to mention is his main is mined out, and he has not gone past 3 bases, so those bases probably don't have too much left at them either. Not that Zeus has a terribly huge economy himself, but kOs does need to at least think about what he's going to do for his next base. Unless he's pretty sure he's going to win right here with this push. Is this like harassment carriers? I'm not sure. I'll have to see where they decide to go. It does look like they're going to the 3rd there. Is that an observer picked off? No, actually. Oh no, a carrier got picked off? That's so painful. Basically, Zeus' entire game plan at this point is based on carriers, and losing 2 of them like that is... I mean, I think he was already pretty dead, but I think that's basically the last nail. kOs at this point does still actually need to kill him, but it's so tough for him from here. 1 base economy trying to support a carrier plan. Zeus did manage to kill off that CC, so kOs is also back down to a 1 base economy here. So that's something. Are there some storms at the top of this ramp, maybe? That would actually really help. There is a Templar there, so hopefully he can do something to fight back. A couple Archons as well as these Dragoons. kOs has pushed up the ramp a little bit, but it looks like he's actually pulling back here. Pulling back to the safety of his sieged tanks. Okay, but they are unsieged now, moving them forward. A little nook, and yeah, this is what I was talking about. He is basically out of minerals at the natural as well. And that's his only mining base right now, so if Zeus can manage to kill off some of this army, a good chunk of it, maybe he can still win. The Goliaths are fighting carriers, but a storm there, pretty good support. Probably took out some of his own interceptors as well, but a lot of damage on these Goliaths, and look at them popping. Carriers doing a great job actually right now. So Zeus has actually saved this base for a little while at least. A couple tanks going down as well. Kind of just abandoned siege tank there. kOs is grouping up. Looks like an okay Goliath count there. Probably enough to fight 3 carriers straight up, but there's also some gateway units here that he'd have to deal with as well. And this game is becoming kind of scrappy. I thought it was over, but maybe not as much. kOs is moving over. I have to think that his CC is going to float over to his 3rd now. But that would still leave him on 1 base economy. Actually, long distance mining right now to his main. And well, yeah, this Nexus was never actually killed off, so Zeus is kind of starting to mine here a little bit again, but immediately those vultures shut it down. And Zeus actually taking this natural, pretty brazen to be honest. The probe looks like it did die, but Nexus is actually alive still, so maybe this is gonna work out. Looks like he's gone back into gateway units even a little bit, and gateway units fight really well against Goliaths. So this game is getting kind of crazy. It's like that Nexus was killed off. So no more cheeky probes mining over there. Trying to pick off that High Templar with his vultures. Not actually sure if he was successful on that since he didn't want to watch. May have. I don't know. Goliath's trying to get these carriers, but there are Gable units underneath. It looks like that Templar did live since it is still alive there. I suppose it could be a different Templar, but I'm just going to assume it's the same one because I want to. Okay, and we do have a command center landed, so it's kOs back up to a 1-base economy. Even still, that's what Zeus is on too. So, oh, can Goliath catch these carriers? A scan there, probably to keep vision as they ran up the ramp. Oh, the carrier is so low. One more shot. Cannot quite get it. That was so close. Really, with Protoss units, you got to finish them off or they're going to get a bunch of their HP back. Quite a bit faster. I mean, I guess you can say that about Zerg too. Or Terran. Alright, with units in StarCraft, you gotta kill them off or they're gonna get some HP back. It's most free for Protoss though, I guess. You know, Terran you gotta repair, which at this point is actually kind of difficult for kOs since his economy is also just kind of in the shitter. And for Zerg, obviously it takes quite a bit longer to regen, but eventually you get it all back. Kind of crazy, really. Also, part of what I love about this game is that all the races are quite different. Although, they do all regen, yes, but how they do it is different, and also, you know, compared to something like Age of Empires, where most of the races are using the same freaking units, just slightly different versions of them. Anyway, so we do actually have a 2-base econ for Zeus now, compared to kOs, who's still just on 1, so not really... Honestly, I think Zeus is coming back in this one. A couple of vultures dying for free up there. Not usually that relevant, but we're getting to the point where it kind of matters. Even that third for kOs is getting kind of low. Probably a few thousand minerals there left still, but not a ton. And his army, you know, there's a bunch of purple all over the map, but a lot of those are spider mines. And, you know, spider mines are good and all, but they're not really units. Imagine if you could move them, though. That'd be insane. I guess that'd be like widow mines. Imagine if they shot up and you could move them. Oh, no, but Zeus's carriers get caught, and one does die. Oh, so painful. You can't let your carriers get caught. So huge. Every carrier that dies right now is so impactful. Big moment there for kOs. So that carrier number, a little bit easier to deal with. Although I think it actually went down from 4 to 3, so actually a lot easier to deal with. And kOs has gotten a 2nd base, so now we're both players on 2 base. Oh, but here we go, a storm drop. 3 kills. Oh, wow, killed. It's hard to see actually, but killed a decent number of SCVs there, and also interrupted mining, which does matter. I think kOs is moving a CC to a different base right now. Not exactly sure. These Dragoons definitely need to either go attack those tanks or run away. Looks like they're deciding to attack and actually hitting the Goliaths, but some Zealots rallying in for reinforcements, and now this fight might actually be winnable for Zeus, but actually, nope. He pulls back. Well, still a little bit of a skirmish going on here. Some Goliaths managed to bait those Zealots into attacking them, but pulled back pretty quickly by Zeus, so not all lost to that tank fire. Man, losing that carrier is so painful. Is this his 3rd? Yeah. It's actually Zeus's 3rd base right now, so we're kind of getting back into a game of StarCraft here with the base counts. This is a really interesting one. This one carrier... Okay, his carrier buddies pull up to help. Looks like Zeus actually made a 4th carrier, so I definitely like adding more carriers on. They're just so efficient. Even against, you know, when your opponent has a bunch of Goliaths, they're still good. They can still grind out the game. And we're kind of in that sort of position where being grindy is good. Tank count has dwindled significantly. Might even be time to switch back into a lot of gateway units, though, just to take advantage of such a low tank count. Observer picked off, which is, yeah, that matters. Usually you think, it's whatever, it's just Observer. Well, this is a pretty low econ game, so the Observer matters. We're up to actually 6 carriers now, so it seems like Zeus has been in full carrier mode for a little bit. Kind of missed it. Still making more as well. And carriers can be very deadly in these long, drawn-out games. They do cost minerals to actually use, but as long as you're mining, it's not that hard to make interceptors. And picking up the eBay, not irrelevant. 125 minerals that he's got to spend again. Oh, this Templar running forward, actually getting the storm off, but not hitting a ton of stuff. Goliath running forward to try to hit these carriers. I think I prefer Templar use sort of defensively for your carriers. One Dragoon running into the space, but there's no Terran units to fight back, so actually kind of annoying. Looks like some more units are running over there as well. Some Dark Templar. And actually this base is going to be cleared out. Definitely need to lift. Okay, kOs did lift that. 400 mineral bases are not so expendable here. Carriers walked forward and picked off something. I'm not exactly sure what. A couple zealots run forward to die, just to buy some time. Sad zealots, but they did their job. If that's what Zeus needed them to do, then they did it. I'm not really sure this is actually that great of a carrier map, to be honest. There's not a lot of ledges to abuse. I think the natural third area, that looks pretty good, but the middle of the map is very open. The best carrier maps have a lot of avenues for them to sort of get the Goliaths off their back. That's when they're strong, is they can hit you and then run away to a safe place. If the Goliaths have a bunch of open room to run under the carriers and then start shooting up, not quite as good. Still very strong. Not to say carriers are really that bad. Turret picked off there. Was annoying. And that is part of why carriers are very good in this type of game. They run in, pick that turret off, and run out. Run in, pick a couple of eyes off, run out. Fly in, I guess. These little strike squads of a Dragoon and 2 Zealots running around the map. Actually going to scout this base, so relevant. Nothing here to defend it right now. There might actually be an engagement here. Looks like a shuttle was picked off, hopefully not too much in there. Templar running forward. Decent storm, but only 1 tank, so not amazing. Looks like Zeus is actually pushing through this area pretty well. Decent storm there on a Goliath and tank as well. That was a nice one. Getting a lot of those units under it, and it looks like Zeus is actually pushing through this army. Very few Goliaths left. The carriers are going to be able to kill off whatever they want once the Goliath count is low enough. Still so many carriers left, and it looks like all the anti-air has been defeated. Zeus somehow has pulled this game back, and I think he's actually going to win. This is kind of crazy. I thought he was dead for sure. That push just did so much damage, but now with this base being scouted, basically all the SCV's gone there. And GG is called by kOs. Wow. That was kind of a crazy game. Zeus just holding on by the skin of his teeth, but he did eventually get there, and carriers just did their thing. That hit and run. There we go, the ceremony from Zeus. Not even really a ceremony, more just like a... I don't know. He gave a peace sign, okay? It's good enough. Anyway, crazy game. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back for the next one.